You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart from the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You can find us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. You guys can help us keep the conversation moving forward by supporting the show. You can share it online with your friends and your family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. Absolutely nothing less than 5 stars. Link is in the description below. We are here once again in the Clearview Today studio on this bright and happy Monday with Dr. Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism.
It's a magnanimous Monday. That's
it was not magnanimous.
He is using my tactics.
Yeah.
He's going to get you to use up
come
your...
on.
It's a magnanimous Monday with Dr. Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. Dr. Shah, welcome.
Thank you for being
Welcome,
here.
welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I felt like that was the insert the parade wave. The thank you for being here today.
It's like the
Thank
queen,
you for being here today.
It does like this right here.
Thank you for being here today. Of course. The verse of the day today is coming to us from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them.
It's a good verse for when you're feeling down about yourself. Maybe you had a bad weekend. Maybe you had a bad week last week. But just to remember that, we are crafted with skill and purpose by God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And for his purpose, and so we don't need to try to copy what someone else has done or what someone else is doing, because God has a crafted and unique plan for all of us.
Mm-hmm. We're not ultimately responsible for living the Christian life. We are responsible, of
Right.
course. Don't misunderstand. But God works in us, and He simply wants us to work out what has been worked in.
That's right.
Right? So because we are in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
we have His life in us, His righteousness has been given to us. Now, that does not mean that you're a perfect person, but in God's eyes, you are. Now you have to live out what has been placed in you.
Mm-hmm.
And some days it's easier, some days it's harder, based on your circumstances, your life, the decisions you made. It's all part of learning to choose to walk in God's way.
That's true.
right.
And there is something that can make the day-to-day life a little bit easier.
Here comes the money.
Oh, it's $1 million. People have been missing $1 Million Mondays.
There's a knock at the door. Is that the Publishers Clearinghouse?
Is that the what?
Publishers Clearinghouse.
What is that?
Remember the big checks that they would knock on the door and like,
Ed McMahon style?
yeah.
Ed McMahon.
That's
Okay.
Publishers
Okay,
Clearinghouse.
I didn't know that. Dr. Shah, $1 million.
Okay.
I don't endorse this gentleman at all. I don't recommend that any Christian listen to him, but are you familiar with Eminem? Marshall Mathers himself. So $1 million. Oh, well, first and foremost, before we do anything, pick a member of the staff. Just pick any member of the staff at random.
Okay, done.
Do you want to say who it is? It's not a secret. Yeah. Just
okay. I said David.
Yes, I'm so glad. $1 million. But Eminem releases an entire album just for the purpose of dissing David. It's a diss album directed at David. Everybody knows it's because you took this deal. At the beginning, Eminem says, I just want to thank Dr. Shah for just the idea for this. This whole album is dedicated to dissing David
Yeah,
Williamson.
absolutely. I'll go for that. I'll go for that because I know that David is a 10 times better singer than Eminem will ever be.
That's true.
That's very true.
That's
and so
very true.
there will be a rebuttal album,
Yes. There you go.
and David will tear him up
and we got
in Jesus' name,
In Jesus' name.
with
name.
love and mercy.
That's right.
Eminem will
You will be dissed.
be in a fetal position somewhere
with
crying.
$1 million, dude, you could fund a great album.
Easily,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll name the rebuttal album Skittle.
Why? Because you're
Eminem.
Eminem. Would you do it? Would you go up against Eminem, or would you just take the diss and be like, nah, I got to take that one?
I would take the diss because he's like in his 60s now.
No.
He's like 50.
He's in his 50s.
Is he 50s?
He's getting old. Hang on.
If he's 50 years old and he's trashing a 30-year-old, then he's got problems.
Well,
funny.
he don't really even do that number.
I would say
think
maybe 40s. He's not 50s.
Let me see. I can tell you. He's 52.
52.
Is he really?
1972. He don't look it.
Yeah.
He. I thought he was
He'll
done.
be 53 this year.
I thought he was
Wow.
done, and then the last one I remember was Machine Gun Kelly stepped to him, and I remember everybody being like, "What the heck are you doing, bro? Do you know
Why
who
on
this is?"
earth?
Like you are nobody. It would be like it was
nobody.
Like, it was like imagine. Let's see. Imagine Noah challenging Dr. Robinson on textual criticism.
Like,
that's what it was like. It was like,
Ooh, what are you doing with
I
your
didn't
life?
even know
no.
you.
Obviously,
I didn't even
you're
know
going to
you were
get
a rapper.
trounced.
Yeah, but okay, $1 million. Would you take it? Would you take it? $1 million, but Eminem releases
if I'm the target, or if I pick.
If you know that David, like your friend,
oh, 100%. Yeah,
I would take
Here's the deal: if I was the target, I'd be mad if Dr. Shah or David didn't take it. That's $1 million.
Would you give David some of your money?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. I think I would also take that.
Yeah.
I would take it. You're a good sport, man. You would to be dissed by Eminem. That would destroy me if he dissed me.
I would just be like, Stan, son.
Listen, man, Dad isn't mad.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with more Clearview Today.
Hey, Clearview Today family, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We're having a great time so far. Listen, if this show has been a source of encouragement and insight for you, we want to take a second and just ask you to consider supporting us financially. I know that might ruffle feathers a little bit, but think about it. You're listening to this show seemingly because you care about spreading the life-changing message of Jesus Christ to the world. Well, your giving allows us to continue sharing that message with other listeners just like you.
Your support is more than just encouragement to us. When you give, you're becoming our partner. You're joining with us to spread God's truth and love to a hurting world. And your gift is a reflection of your faith. And believe it or not, it's going to make an eternal impact in someone's life.
That's right. And giving to the show is insanely easy. All you do is visit our website, clearviewtodayshow.com, and you can click on that little button that says Give Today. We are so encouraged by everyone who's already giving to the show. And if today's your first time listening, we want to let you know that we appreciate your partnership, and we pray that God blesses you abundantly for your commitment to his work. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right. Dr. Shah, the president signed an executive order late last week prohibiting transgender women and girls from competing in female sports. And this was called the No Men in Women's Sports Executive Order. This has been something that has been on the forefront of American political debate for way, way, way longer than I think any of us thought that it would be. Mm-hmm. I remember when this whole transgender thing came out, when the whole thing came up about biological males playing in women's sports. And I distinctly remember being like, oh, wow, yeah, that's a good point. I guess that should settle this pretty quickly. Cut to like 3-4 years later, and people are still up in arms over this. What I think should be like common sense.
Right.
But it's been 4 years of the previous administration, and we are still arguing over whether biological men or biological males should be playing in women's sports.
Right. This Title IX enforcement action, and it's even funny just to even think about it, that we were okay with this. I mean, we're not okay. Majority of Americans, as President Trump, I think, said 7 in 10 Americans believe that transgender, or the administration said that transgender athletes should only be allowed to compete on teams that conform with their sex assigned at birth.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's supposedly a hot take. I want to take you back in time. I want to try to get you to enter into your dad's mindset. Let's travel back to the year. When do you think your dad was like in his prime?
In his prime, I would say, my goodness, 70s, early 80s.
Let's travel back to the early 80s. I'm glad you said that's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Let's say I got a time machine. I traveled back in time, flew to India, met him. I said, hey, you don't know me, but in the future, I'm going to work for your son. He's my pastor. He's my boss. I want you to know that in America right now, there's a huge debate over whether men who think that they're women and pass as women, whether or not they should play in women's sports. And I want you to know that that's a huge, huge issue in American politics in my time. What do you think he would, like, what would go through his mind?
He would say, I totally understand.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not the answer I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, totally understand. Look, growing up, he would say that about Americans. He loved America. He loved the foundation of America. He loved the values we have. But we used to, sit and listen to him. Mm-hmm. He said I guess it's just being a first world country and having so much handed to us, you're spoiled. Mm-hmm. And when you're spoiled, this is a first world problem.
Right. Yes, of course.
This is a first world problem where people are experimenting with their gender. This is not happening in the third world. Okay? Now, don't misunderstand me. Transgenderism has been in the third world for centuries. Okay? It's an old issue. Like growing up, I saw transgender people.
Really?
Oh, yeah, men's pretending to be women.
Wow.
Hardly ever women pretending to be men.
Mostly men pretending
to be women. Yeah.
Did they try to do what they do in America and take sexuality, like arousal, out of it? Like in America, I feel like a lot of it, they're saying this is not sexual. This is just who I am. I'm not getting a kick out of this. Did that happen in India, or was it like, no, these people are getting a kick out of
Well,
this?
in India, transgenderism was very much tied to Hinduism.
Okay.
I remember you talking about this.
Yeah, it's a religious thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not socially frowned
It
on?
was not religious thing, but it became a religious thing
Yeah.
over the centuries. So they're known as the Hijras.
Okay.
And the Hijras are these people who are males, but they dress like females. They wear the sari and they'll do the makeup, and they they'll come into your home, not in a Christian home.
Sure.
They'll come to a Hindu home, and they will come in singing real loudly, and if you tolerate that, then they will go to the baby, and you sort of let them hold the baby, which kind of is weird to me. Strangers holding your baby.
Right,
But they
right.
hold the baby, and then they will dance with the baby or whatever, and then they're getting the bad vibes off the baby. That's what they do.
Do they pass for women? Like, could you be fooled, or can you look at it and say, no?
Yeah,
that's not me?
there are times you're like, you have to do a second look.
Okay.
Like, is that? I think that's the Hijra.
Gotcha. So they go all out with it.
They go all out.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha,
They go
gotcha.
all out, and then there are those who are in the streets and they're begging, and they will get right up to you. Now, it's how you carry yourself. If you stay very business like you're focused on things you got to do, they'll kind of walk away. But if you're like kind of
Meandering, loitering, looking like you don't know where you're at.
right in your face, like, what are you going to do? You're gonna, and then you're like, just take this money, leave me alone. And then they'll leave you
They'll
alone.
just harass you for money? Wow.
That happened to me and my dad as we were getting inside a taxi, and they came over, and my dad is like, enough, and so they kind of walked off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zero time. He didn't have time for that.
Yeah, it's like enough.
Yeah.
And so they walked away.
Wow.
And then the taxi driver also said, was like, hey, stop.
Yeah.
And they walked away.
I think you made a great point, though. Like, transgenderism is present in every culture, but this idea of like playing with your gender and pushing the envelope and trying to experiment here and do this, and maybe we can change this. That's a very first world issue.
And I'm surprised. It's not that I disagree, but I'm surprised very much. And I think a lot of our listeners will be surprised because I think we're approaching it, like Christians in America are approaching it from what has the world come to. Like, we are so backwards. And this is a new thing. But for you to say that your dad in the 80s would have been like, no, I completely agree. I understand exactly.
I can see it coming.
I can see this
I
coming.
could have seen this
Because this is, and he said the same thing about marriage too. He said in America, and I know there's abuse as well. So there are divorces that happen because one person is abusive to the other, and that can be legitimate. I would not disagree with that. But what he was referring to is how people get bored. They get bored. I'm bored. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna try someone else. I fell out of love. I'm gonna try something else.
Wow.
That's a first world issue.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying the marriages in India are perfect.
Right.
Arranged marriage is the way to go. I would never say that because I've seen the other side of that too. So I'm not saying for a moment that system is better than this. What I'm saying is this system is not.
It's not ideal. Yeah, makes sense. President Trump said in a statement, he said that the radical left has waged an all-out campaign, like a war, to erase the very concept of biological sex and replace it with militant transgender ideology. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I guess my question to you is, what do they gain by doing this? What do they gain by getting rid of biological sex? Because I always thought it was like, hey, there's at least from their argument's perspective, I don't agree with it at all, but I thought what they were saying was there are biological males and biological females, but biological males can call themselves women, and we should all just be okay with that. I think what a lot of them are actually saying is that there is no such thing as biological males and biological women, biological females.
Yeah. I guess maybe it'll take us a little time. Maybe we can come back after the break and talk about it.
Yeah.
But it is social Marxism back, but under a new guise. Social Marxism, or Marxism, is about workers of the world unite and fight against the the rulers, the capitalists, the ones who control all the money. Okay? Now, how do you do that in a first world where most of us are not oppressed workers working in the mines and the sweatshops? You use different opportunities, whether it's women's rights, or transgender gay rights, to fight against the oppressors. This is social Marxism.
So it's they just took the same ideology that was
Of Marxism
that was primarily economic,
right?
and now it's social.
That's right, 100%. That's at the heart of what's been happening in America for quite some time. It's Marxism disguised as social Marxism, and it uses every avenue, even environmental issues. It's about you're fighting against those who want to use up the earth.
There's so in these ideologies, there's always an enemy, and it's always the people in power.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so we have to fight against the globalists, or not global, the people who exploit our world. So we need to take care of the trash. We need to take care of our planet. You're destroying our planet. We need to degrowth. That's the new movement now, the degrowth movement.
Like have people have less kids?
Not just less kids, but also less production and and just kind of just. So how are we going to eat? Well, that's how it works. They don't think through all that. It's simply a matter of pitting society against each other, and then the one that is the oppressed is now going to take power. And they tried that in America, and by God's grace and the prayer of God's people,
it did
not work.
Right.
Thank God for that.
I agree, 100%.
Absolutely. I want to read you a quote from an important, like a voice in this debate, and an important voice in our generation who spoke, I think, very well into this. Our society and culture are increasingly trying to neutralize gender identities. Both scripturally and scientifically, transgenderism is unnatural, inappropriate, and sinful. We're to be compassionate toward those struggling with gender dysphoria, but we are also to stand firm in our conviction of biblical gender distinctions. And here's the real mic drop. Compassion without the gospel of Jesus Christ is collaboration.
I agree 100%.
That's Dr. Abadan Shah.
Yeah, I was going to
like the last line sounded very familiar.
I was going to ask if it sounded familiar. I was looking on the thing. I was like, are you not going to credit him? I see what you were doing.
That is from your message, Recreated Part 2.
Oh, wow.
That's true, though. I mean, think about that. We're being asked to show compassion, but it's not that.
Yeah.
We're not being asked just to show compassion, because I can be compassionate that you're going through this mental turmoil. You're either uncomfortable or unwilling to accept your body. I get that. I mean, a lot of that is just what every single person goes through at puberty.
Yeah, right.
You have a relationship with your body that you can't get, but instead of growing out of it, it's gone on. So I mean, I can certainly sympathize with that. But then for me to say, hey, I think what you're saying is actually true. Those are two different things.
Agree.
Those are two vastly different things.
That's right.
What do we do? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like, because I don't think this is the end of the war. Like, I know I know President Trump said with this executive order, the war on women's sports is over. But I don't see this fight getting just dropped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's going to resurface in some other guise. I know it's going to come in some other way. I just think we need to always live conscious that people like who support Marxism will come back with some other Marxist idea. And transgenderism is a great way to do that. Great way, where people struggle with their sexuality. We're talking about first world.
Right.
They're not going to try that in the third world country,
Right.
because
They got bigger.
they got bigger things
fish to
like,
fry.
what are we going to eat? Where are we going to
pressing concern.
live?
The air is literally poison.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no water. We have cholera.
Yeah.
That's their problem. Or we're all getting sick. We have this sickness. We have this flu running through our entire community and region, and hundreds of thousands of people die. That's the concern, not first. And there's a video I want us to watch.
Sure.
If we have a second for that.
Absolutely.
It was very interesting, and this is, just to set it up, this is a young man who was in Israel during October 7th when the horrific tragedy took place where the terrorists came in and they raped and killed people, especially children. Horrible attack on Israel. But anyways, I want to hear what he has to say about all of this.
Okay.
It's October 7th, and then I detransitioned. As a little kid, I was very interested in exploring niche medical topics, and when I was 12, just the idea of would it be possible for a woman to become a man? This question just entered my mind. I ended up going really deep, just obsessing, and I found myself pretty quickly in the land of pop culture, trans influencers. By the time I was 19, my parents had realized that my transgender identity was not going anywhere. They basically told me, you need to study abroad for a year in a non-Western country that doesn't promote all of this stuff. But on October 7th, I woke up to a siren at 8 in the morning, and then multiple rockets. I just didn't have time to put my breast binder on. I just had to layer on a bunch of shirts. I just had to run for it. I just had to run to a bomb shelter.
I mean,
As I
just
was
to
running,
clarify,
that everything
I didn't see the whole thing, but she is a girl,
This is a woman.
pretending to be a man.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
I
I had
tell
it backwards.
I couldn't tell which way
She
it
was
went.
a girl who was pretending to be
She's
a
a
man.
biological female.
Biological
Got it.
female. Right,
Got it.
right.
Okay.
So let's back up just a little bit if possible. If not, you can continue, David.
thought about myself was wrong. I realized I had to feel my body moved unconstrained by the breast binder, and it was in those moments that I realized that there's nothing wrong with my body. My body is not a pathology. Transgenderism and gender dysphoria, really, this is fundamentally a first world problem.
Brilliant.
That's
There you go.
true. And I was thinking that. I'm glad she said that at the end because I was thinking everything that you were saying earlier tracks completely because there's nothing like an immediate life-threatening crisis to make you realize,
I am a girl.
I really don't have time to be focused on stuff like
Right.
this.
There are more pressing issues.
And
That's brilliant.
It is
Brilliant.
brilliant. I'm glad. I hate that she had to go through that. I hate that she had to be experienced to that. But if that's what it took for God to kind of open her eyes and
Yeah.
realize, hey, this is a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
I like. We talked about this when President Trump won the election. Is that I think there were so many people. Once the economy really started getting bad, there was a lot of people realizing that the left just stands on these social issues. That at the end of the day, they might be kind of fun to talk about for a little while, but when stuff really hits the fan, these things are not what America is
Just like
built
this
on.
young lady said, it's a first world problem.
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
realized and for her to admit that, I commend her, and I hope the next step she will find Christ.
Yes,
but
of course.
that's another thing that I hope she will see that because I can see her being because she's just listening to her. She's very articulate. And
I was
the way
thinking
she's
the same
talking,
thing.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking the exact same.
Very well spoken, and she's thought through. I mean,
Yeah.
she to have one position and then to change your position and back it up. I mean, she's thought through things. You can tell.
I don't know if you know this, but we got a little bit of flack on TikTok for the whole "left is going out of style" episode. Just a bunch of leftists saying that we didn't know what we were talking about. But it's crazy that since we've put that episode out, the more and more videos I've seen like that one.
Yeah.
Where people are saying, you know what, I think we got it backwards. I'm just going to and I don't think it's a surprise. The older people they tend to lean more conservative. But at the same time, there's lots of young people just like her coming out
Speaking
saying,
out.
this isn't right. And I wish I hadn't done this.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I respect people who have the courage to say
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's right.
Yeah. What's in store for America? Do you see this debate changing? I mean, with President Trump signing this executive order, do you think this is the beginning of a larger shift, or is this still a lot of battles to be fought down the road?
There'll always be battles against women and children. This is a battle against women and children. Did I know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The enemy hates women and he hates children. Of course, he hates men too. Don't misunderstand. But he goes against them because it's the seed of the woman. So it's the seed and the woman.
Right.
Now, of course, we know Christ was the seed, the ultimate seed, and the woman was Mary, who gave birth to Christ. So, of course, we understand that. But every woman and every child is hated by the enemy. Okay? So he will do everything possible to keep attacking them, It's up to us to protect them. And protecting them is not to keep them from opportunities. No, they need to have opportunities to succeed, to go to school, to be successful. But at the same time, also know that sometimes what we think is successful, like you can do anything. You can even be a boy. No, that's not how it's supposed to be.
It's chaos, and I'm trying to put this together in my head, but I think you really just kind of opened a door when you said that the enemy really hates women and children. those are the two, like out of women, children, and men, it's those two, women and children, that you typically find chaos, just disorder, not just like being wild and crazy, but just a lack of order.
Right.
And when I think of the enemy, he is an agent of chaos. He's someone who spreads chaos. And so it's harder, I guess, to spread chaos among godly men in general, but godly men. And so that's how he targets them, I'm supposing, is just, I mean, even this whole transgender, it's just chaos. It's just noise.
It is.
And I hadn't really considered that until you just
I would say
that.
distraction. It's a distraction, and there's no love or anything in this. They put it as they present it as it's love, but there's no love. And even if it's love, it's like platonic love. But it's not real. There's nothing there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think you mentioned it earlier, but we've got some very good days ahead of us. I think we got a great 4 years on the horizon. And I'm excited to see. I think that people, now that they feel safe to start speaking out, I'm hoping, and my prayer is, as even with this radio show, my prayer is that people, this will sort of be, I hate to say beaten back down, but this issue will be put back in its place, which is not very important.
Right.
I hate that it has to take a presidential executive order, because I don't feel like this is an issue that really should be as prominent as it is.
Practically, we've got a little bit of time left. Practically, if people are listening to the show and they say, I have someone in my life who is in this lifestyle, how can I, as a believer, show them love, but also still stand for the truth that the Bible says?
Yeah. Do understand that circumstances in life, trauma in life, bad influences in life, if they happen early, they create certain grooves in our minds, okay, in our brains, in the way we think and the way we behave, and those grooves are very, very hard. If not, they're impossible to remove. They're there. They're going to stay. It's the grace of God that can help fill those grooves and help create the right ones. So when the wrong ones have been created for, especially in those formative years, and many of them are there, that's when people do things like this and many other things like that. So pray for them, model Christ for them, don't give up on them, find ways to keep reaching, find ways to keep loving them, and pray for them.
Yeah.
Prayer is very important.
Absolutely. I agree. So good for us.
What did you say? What did you say?
What was the word?
Platonic.
Oh, what? Okay, that was a good one.
Well
that's
done.
a good secret word.
That's how you do the secret word. Those of you at home, that's how you do a secret word.
What was the one I had on Friday? Borborgum.
Hollywobble. What is it?
No, it was Borborgum. I had
yeah.
That platonic is a good secret word.
Yeah, platonic means there's nothing sexual or physical involved. It's just like this love thing.
Is it Plato? Is that why it's platonic?
I guess so. Yeah,
like Plato.
So.
I was looking at how it was like spelled out. I was like, "This Plato's name. I don't have anything to do with him."
It's connected to that.
Okay.
It's ideal. It's not real.
He must have had some.
Very nice.
I thought he was just like a friendly guy.
Yeah, he was just a friend.
Cool.
Make sure you guys join us tomorrow, same time, same station. We're going to be diving into another great topic here on the Clearview Today Show. Thanks again to our sponsors for making today's episode possible. And don't forget, you can support us by subscribing to the show on iTunes if you want to re-listen, and you can always support us financially at clearviewtodayshow.com. John, give our listeners something to think about.
Yes, well, definitely some great days ahead in our nation, but if you want them to be even greater, or even if you want to experience some great days in this nation for yourself, 30 Days of Praying for America, daily devotions to heal our nation. We've been pushing this book for a long time. We were pushing it even before the election. But man, America is on the right track again. So we just want you guys to have this daily devotional. It's 30 days. It's written by Dr. Shah and his wife. And guess what? That's actually book 3 in a 3-book series. Book 4 is coming out pretty soon. We also got some original music in the pipeline. Great and Awesome is our new single. It's going to be coming out in just a couple of days. We'll let you know as soon as it is. We want you to add it to your worship repertoire at your church. We also got an original album out full of original songs. It's called Heaven Here and Now. You can download that on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. I was trying to think of all the other places.
If you can download music, you can download it.
You'll find it. You'll find it. And if you can't, let me know, and I'll just sing them to you here on the radio show.
Make sure you guys join us tomorrow. Lots of great content coming your way. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.